Community. This is Andy.
This is Sunny.
And we're here again for another album exchange. Before we get started though, Sunny, I think she had something she wanted to say.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Billy again for sending me some VCLT and his CD. You can't really see it. Yeah.
There you go.
Anyway, I really enjoyed listening to it. There were a couple of songs that I really liked. They Made Us Cry, Spend the Night, and
They Made Us Cry.
They Made Andy cry too.
One of them made me tear up a little bit.
Oh, and Even the Wind. I really like that one. But they're all good. Yeah, so thank you.
Okay. For this week's album exchange, I went ahead and bit the bullet and broke out the big guns and gave Sunny QUEENSRYCHE Operation Mindcrime to get her thoughts and opinions of. She's had 2 weeks to soak this into her brain, so I'm interested to see what she has to say about it. Well, this is their third studio album, not counting the EP. If you count the EP, this is their fourth studio album. It was released in 1988 on EMI Records. QUEENSRYCHE are an American progressive rock band, as most of you already know. Most of the people that sub my channel already know my opinion of this album, so depending on what she's got to say about it, we'll see if we make another one of these videos or not.
And I don't have the CD, but I introduced Andy to WAKAN. And their album is called Moving On. The band was just formed in 2012. They're relatively new. Their CD, Moving On, came out in 2014 on Verve Music Group. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Verve, yeah.
Verve. They're considered electronic minimalism and jazzy orchestral influenced. I can't talk. Rock and pop.
Actually, I ordered a copy of this album like 2 days after she told me about this is the one she wanted me to review, so I could, you know, get a fair listen to it. But Amazon has yet to get that to me, so it's floating around in limbo somewhere. So hopefully I'll get to show the CD eventually. But
we're going to start this week discussing WAKAN's album Moving On. There are 4 full-time members of the group, but he also brings in an orchestra, like a 14-piece orchestra. I think on his first album, it was just kind of a group of friends that came together. He does have a new album coming out. I don't think it's released yet, but it's called Phantasmagoria, and he will have like a professional 14-piece orchestra playing in that. And he's from Bulgaria, and I'm not sure where the other band members are from, but I can't pronounce their names. The first names are George. He's the composer, producer. He plays several instruments. He does the sound mixes. Christiane Bautista does the vocals. Peter is on guitar and Joey is on drums. It's very chill, kind of sultry music. I would describe it as being kind of atmospheric, moody, dramatic. You know, you got that orchestra in there.
So now, WAKAN is not a person. It's
right.
The name of the project, right? I mean, it's
the name of their group.
It's basically a guy using that, but his musicians kind of rotate, don't they? Or I don't know.
Well, I think
I didn't read a whole lot about him. I just know that the lead singer that's on this album is not the lead singer that's on like the album after this one.
Well, I think Christiane is maybe on the new one, but okay. I think there's another woman who sings as well. And I think Peter and Joey are there all the time.
The first night she gave me to listen to this, I got about 4 songs in and I fell asleep. So then the next night it was basically the same thing, and I tried to listen to it every night of the week, but my mistake is doing it before bedtime. So the fourth or fifth song in, I would kind of zone out.
It is kind of relaxing, but that's why I like it.
It's
very chill.
It's orchestral, like you said, but the mood is very dark. I think the mood of the album is dark, and it's kind of dreary, and it's very ethereal. It's like the whole album's in a dream state. From the first song to the last song, you kind of feel like you're in a bad dream.
A bad dream?
Well,
oh no.
It's not a happy record. There's none of the songs have happy endings. I mean, that I could tell. I don't know, but to me,
it's not depressing. I don't think it's like depressing.
To me, I do.
Really? Oh, okay.
To me, it sounds like a '70s Italian gelato movie. That's horror movie.
Oh yeah.
It's like a '70s Italian horror movie soundtrack, maybe, or a film noir where all the characters in it are kind of shady. I don't know. It's a weird album to listen to. Now, I'm not saying I disliked it. It took some time for the album to grow on me. I'll tell you in a minute who I think they sound like, because...
Well, I was going to say, I get more of like a James Bond soundtrack vibe.
I don't know. Portishead is more what I'll go ahead and throw this in there. If you took Fiona Apple, Adele, Portishead, and
Mazzy Star.
Well, yeah, Mazzy Star, that's gloom and doom right there.
I like that kind of music.
And Tanita Tikaram back from the '80s, because that "Twistin' My Sobriety" song would have fit right in on this album. The singer actually kind of looks like her, and as you listen to it, I don't know, it's that vibe. If you've heard that song by Tanika Tikaram, I think that's how you pronounce her name. If you've heard that song "Twistin' My Sobriety," you've heard this whole album that came out in 2014. And I'm not hating, because I like that song. The only real drawbacks to the album, in my opinion, are because I didn't have the lyrics in front of me to read along as I was listening. There's a lot of dialogue that gets lost because the lead singer, she kind of mumbles through some of the songs.
Sing clearly.
And that's kind of a turn off, because I really want to know what she's talking about.
Yeah, she has this great sultry voice, but you can't always understand everything she's saying, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah. So, aside from that, I enjoyed it, I guess.
I think this was a good example of how our tastes different. Our musical tastes are different. It's kind of opposite ends of the spectrum, because
I don't think so.
QUEENSRYCHE is something that...
We're not talking about QUEENSRYCHE yet. We're talking about
but that's
Con
more like
WAKAN.
Metal, which is kind of like where you're coming from, and then you've got this kind of pop, electronic stuff, which is what I listen to a lot, and I'm kind of at this end of the spectrum.
You know, listening to that album, I didn't get the pop vibe. I really didn't. I got more of a... I can't think of who puts them out, but there's an artist that put an album out called Late Night Tales, and it's where he's taken songs that you're familiar with, and he's put like a whole new twist on it and make those sound kind of ethereal. That 10cc song, I'm Not in Love, that's redone with a female lead on that, and that kind of fits the genre that you're coming from with this album. I don't consider this pop. I consider it its own thing. Like I said, I like the alternative stuff. I like the out there non-genre genre specific stuff. So I
What do you consider Morcheeba?
Morcheeba. I don't want to talk about that.
Well,
Morcheeba's pop.
I listened to Morcheeba, and this was kind of one of the things that I came across, because it's like, well, if you like Morcheeba, then you'll like WAKAN. So
I like this better than
but he
Morcheeba.
doesn't like, yeah. Moving On has 10 songs, and my favorite is Space Out, and then it's like Cut the Rope.
Stop it.
In parentheses.
Really?
Yeah.
Space Owl, Cut the Rope is my favorite song on this album as well. I can't believe that.
I can't believe it either.
The reason I like the song, it sounds like Fiona Apple singing it, and I'm old school Fiona Apple fan. I like that stuff, and that was the first, when she started singing that song, it's the first thing I thought of was Fiona Apple. So
Cut the Rope is the song that I originally heard that attracted me to WAKAN.
And that's not one of the singles either. I think there's three singles off this album that they made videos for.
Moving On and Like I Need You, those are my other two favorites. There weren't any songs that I didn't like.
You like I Need You? That sounds like Adele.
Yeah, it sounds like Adele, but it's cool. It's more of a pop song.
Yeah, that's why I didn't like it, I think. I liked Forever Found, the first track on there. I liked Moving On, Space Owl, which was my favorite, and Midnight Moon, the final track. I think it's like 9 or 11 minutes long, but that song kind of sums up the entire theme of the album, and that's what I liked about it. Any dislikes on that one?
On the album?
Well, the songs. Any dislikes?
No,
or?
I don't dislike any of them.
Well, I did.
Oh, okay.
Tracks 7, 8, and 9. Clever Divide, Why Don't You Save Me, and Mount Blanc. Those three songs just kind of, as the album progresses from track 1 to track 6, it kind of builds and gets better as it goes along. But then when you hit those 3 tracks in a row, I just didn't care for them.
I like Why Don't You Save Me.
And
the other
that's
two,
the one that sounds like James Bond to me. That sounds like
it sounds James Bondish.
It's very For Your Eyes Only sounding.
I like
guess
that kind of music.
So, anything else about this album before we do our rating?
I don't guess so.
Okay. We're going to do them at the same time?
Sure.
Okay. So as far as WAKAN, Moving On, right?
Moving On.
A 2014 release, which I didn't say I didn't like it, but I have to rate these fairly. I want to do this fairly and justly. So I gave this album a 6.
A 6. I did an 8.
So that's not too far off.
No.
5 is a good album, an average album. I gave it a 6. I enjoyed it. I would listen to this if I had a long day at work and I was going to go to bed. I would put the headphones on and listen to this because
this is something that I listen to when I want to relax. Like if I've had a long day, I'll take a bubble bath and I'll play this.
Don't put that visual in their head.
It's not so slow that it doesn't put me to sleep. To me, it's more of like a jazzy, chill, kind of sultry sound. But it is relaxing, and I like listening to it at the end of the day.
Okay, next, after we took a little break and I've refreshed my refreshment, we're going to talk about this. Operation Mindcrime, which is a concept album and a rock opera. The story follows Nikki, who's a recovering drug addict, who gets recruited by the mysterious Dr. X to become a political assassin. And without giving too much of the album away, if you haven't listened to it, that's all I'm going to say about it. It came out in 1988. It was certified gold the year it came out, and by 91 it went platinum, selling 1 million plus copies. So there's that. Do you want to say something? Well, I gave this to her to review, so you go ahead and you talk about it first.
Well, I am not a metal fan. Concept albums, progressive rock, they're not my cup of tea. This was definitely outside of my comfort zone. I felt like it was very dark and angry and sad.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty awesome though, just because he
Jeff Tate.
Chris and Michael.
Oh, Chris DeGarmo and Michael Wilton, the guitar players.
They just shred the guitar. Just wow.
Amazing guitar
Blow
players.
You away. Jeff Tate, he has amazing vocals.
One of the best metal vocalists of all time, in my opinion.
So, yeah, there's no denying that it's a great album. It was really cool.
Scott Rockenfield on drums. He was awesome.
Yeah, he was awesome. Even though I don't like concept albums, this was so incredibly interesting. I mean, what a great story.
For anyone who's watched any of my videos at length knows this is one of my favorite albums. This is in my, as far as metal goes, this is in my top 10 greatest albums of all time.
What makes it in your top 10 albums of all time?
Because it's a perfect album. From start to finish, there's not a bad song on this album. And all the songs flow together so well as the story unfolds, as it progresses. And the final song, Eyes of a Stranger, sums up the entire album musically, literally. I don't know. Like I said earlier, it's a story that mainly involves 4 people. Nicky, who's your star, he's the recovering. I say recovering, but
he wasn't recovering.
He's a drug addict.
Yeah, I think you should tell a little bit more about the story.
He's a drug addict that gets recruited by this guy, Dr. X.
And he's brainwashed. And every time he says the word Mindcrime. Right.
He calls him on the phone and says Mindcrime, and that makes the switch flip, so that he goes and does what Dr. X tells him to do. The other 2 characters are Sister Mary, who was once a prostitute and is now a nun, and has ties with the central character Nicky, and also the priest, who they don't give an. They don't say his name.
I think they just call
Father
him
William.
Oh.
Father William,
okay.
Saved me from the street.
Yeah. But even though she's a nun, she's still.
Well.
She's not living the life of a nun.
Well, but whose fault is that? Because Father William is.
He's corrupt.
He's corrupt, and he's taking advantage of her.
Yes.
And Dr. X, who yearns, he's evil, but he yearns for a better society, tells Nicky to assassinate Father William because of what he's doing, and to kill Mary as well because she's a risk, because she could leak information that this Dr. X character is behind all these political murders, which puts Nicky in conflict because he is in love with her.
Yeah, really, Dr. X wants Nicky to kill Mary simply because he's crazy about her and he wants to run away with her.
Right, and it's a beautiful love story.
No.
It's a beautiful love story.
It doesn't have a beautiful ending.
Okay, next we're going to do best songs we liked, songs we didn't like. As far as, well, I'll let you go first here, because I'll probably get mad and start throwing stuff.
Oh,
so
well,
go with songs you liked first.
The songs that I liked were kind of the catchier songs, like Revolution Calling, The Needle Lies, and Eyes of a Stranger. Those were my favorites.
Really?
I think the commercial favorite is
Well, there was four singles released off this album.
I Don't Believe in Love. That's the song that I think everybody went crazy about.
This guy did.
Yeah.
I Don't Believe in Love is the best song on this album. That is just an amazing song.
It's a good song, yeah.
If you've ever felt heartache in your life and you hear that song, that's like hitting a brick wall, that song. I really think so. Don't look at me like that. But yeah, there were 4 singles off this album. Revolution Calling. I can't even see them. Breaking the Silence, I Don't Believe in Love, and Eyes of a Stranger. And I think I Don't Believe in Love it ranked highest on the charts.
Like the number 1.
What? It didn't go to number 1, but
not on the charts, but it was like their top,
I guess, yeah,
top rated song on the album.
When this album came out in 1988, I remember Headbangers Ball, back when MTV showed videos, and Queensryche came out with, there's a whole slew of videos. I think there's a video almost for every song on this album. And from 1988 to either 94 or 95, when Headbangers Ball, as we know it, ended, they were playing those videos every weekend, every month, every year until they quit, because this album is so amazing.
I think it's interesting that this came out in 1988 when kind of the metal phase was phasing out and the grunge was starting to come in. It really was. But, you know, people loved it even though metal was starting to phase out and grunge was starting to become more popular.
Well, I think Facelift, Alice in Chains came out in either 89 or 90. I may be wrong. Don't hate me if I'm wrong here. But I think that the Facelift album, along with Nirvana and Soundgarden and all those other bands, they started becoming more mainstream, and the metal stuff kind of played down to the grunge stuff. But metal never went away. It just it didn't get pushed as much.
Well, like what's the right word? Your decade of like teenage years, those were like the hair metal years.
Well,
and then
that's hair metal.
My teenage years were like the grunge years.
This is not hair metal.
No, this is not hair metal.
And I was not a huge fan of hair metal. Some of you guys that are all about Def Leppard. Well, no, Def Leppard's not hair metal. I'm sorry. You Poison
But you've got
folks.
Jeff singing in that high voice.
That doesn't have anything to do with hair metal.
No, I'm just saying it's kind of like that. I don't know, that kind of music.
Hair metal was catchy hit songs. There was the one breakout song followed up by the ballad, and it was all about getting the punani. That's all hair metal was about. This actually has substance. This is an album that wasn't about that kind of stuff. This
kind
is
of classical influences.
Intellectual.
It's definitely more intellectual, more of a rock opera.
This is to progressive metal what Rush was to progressive rock, in my personal opinion. So you said your favorite songs on here were what?
Eyes of a Stranger, probably.
Eyes of a Stranger?
Yeah.
That is a good song. I love them all.
Yeah, now, there wasn't any song that I didn't like.
Now, you know, there's 2 tracks on here that really aren't considered songs. They're considered like segues into
instrumental interludes.
Like Waiting for 22 and My Empty Room.
Isn't Anarchy X sort of a little?
Well, that's your prologue into before we get it rolling. That's like as the credits are rolling, I guess, kind of song. But Revolution Calling, Operation Mindcrime, Speak, My personal favorites are I Don't Believe in Love, Eyes of a Stranger, Spreading the Disease, and I like Speak and Needlewise. Hell, I like this whole album.
How long is this? How long is this album?
Oh, I don't know. It's probably close to an hour.
Yeah, see, that's my only kind of complaint is...
Don't say it's too long. I think it's too short.
I mean, it's a story, and you're listening to the story, and I don't know. I felt like, okay, let's move. I want it to move a little bit faster.
Stop it. Okay, songs you didn't like. Is there a song on here that you didn't like? Now, don't count Waiting for 22 in My Empty Room because, like I say, those are interludes that lead up to Eyes of a Stranger.
I liked the interludes.
Okay. Is there a song you didn't like?
No, they're all cool.
They're all cool.
Yeah.
So
it's just, even though it's awesome and I don't have anything critical really to say about it, it's still not my cup of tea.
Okay. So you ready to do the big reveal then?
Sure.
Okay. As
I saw your
this
number.
this is very important. Okay. So this whatever number you have on that card could result in our future as husband and wife. Go ahead.
I gave it a 6. But that's just because I'm not into that kind of music. Not because I think the album is a 6. If you're into that kind of music, then I think you're going to think it's more of a 9.5 or 10. Because I looked at reviews online and everybody rated it like almost 5 stars.
Because it's a great album.
Or 9.5 out of 10. So, yeah, if you're into that kind of music, then you're going to love it. It's just not my thing.
I was going to put 11 on here, but these don't go to 11. They only go to 10. So, in my personal opinion, like I said before, this is one of the greatest albums ever made. And I give it a 10, damn it. And I will stand behind that. A 6.
Oh.
You think... What's the one I reviewed?
See, that's what I'm trying to say.
It's about taste. It's about taste.
Yes, it's about taste. It's not because I think Operation Mindcrime is any less than Moving On. Because I'm not saying that. You know,
yeah.
I'm just saying that my tastes lean more toward that kind of music as opposed to, you know, the rock opera.
And we're being honest with one another. So... when I give her some Slayer to listen to, we'll see what she gives that. Anything else you want to add?
No.
So,
I'm glad you made me listen to it. I wouldn't have listened to it if it hadn't been my assignment.
Same with the one you gave me.
Yeah, it was really interesting, and I do love the story.
Awesome. So,
he had to explain it to me a little bit. I listened to the whole thing and I read the lyrics and I was still kind of like, oh, what's going on with the story? I don't think I fully understood what was going on between Nikki and Mary.
There is an Operation Mindcrime 2, which I've got the CD of, but I don't rate that one highly, so I didn't want to pass that along. It's a different album where they tried to elaborate more on this album.
Yeah.
But personally, I didn't think it needed elaborating on.
No.
So we done?
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. See, this is Saturday as we shoot this. So tomorrow, we'll give each other a new album to rate. Mm-hmm. Okay. And after we do the next album, let's get some picks from you guys. Because I really enjoyed that. I liked getting... because that turned me on to stuff that I never would have listened to. I was given the Dire Straits album, and because of someone's suggestion online, I've picked up several Dire Straits albums since. I'm really digging them, so thanks. And you never would have listened to Blind Faith had it been for
No, I totally would have listened to it.
Huh?
I totally would have listened to Blind
But you'd never heard of them until you were asked to listen to them.
Right.
That was the problem.
I was not familiar
there
with
you go.
it. But
so until someone tells you, hey, you should check this out, you don't really know. So
right. Yeah.
All
Good
right.
suggestions.
So we'll be back in 2 weeks for another album review. Signing off for now, this is Andy.
And this is Sunny. We'll see you next time.
Take care. Bye.